Good morning, everybody. Here we are back again. And a lot of you folks are new to the show. I hope you heard the introduction. It kind of explains what we do, but just in case you're just tuning in, I'm not just saying this because I want you to listen, but really, we're unique. We're a consumer advocacy show. We're on your side, meaning car buyers, car leasers, car repairers, and maintainers. If you're going to spend money with a retail automobile business, meaning independent repair shops or car dealers, you need our help. You truly do. By the way, again, if you're new to the show, we are car dealers on this show. We have a car dealership in North Palm Beach, Florida. We've had one for a long time. I've been a car dealer since 1968. So I've been in the trenches. I've done what the car dealers do that we're talking about. So I've been there. I've done that. I know all the tricks of the trade. I probably developed some of the tricks because I've been in the business since 1968, like I said. So junk fees, bait and switch. I could have written a book on that because I participated back in the day a long time ago. And am I ashamed of it? Yes and no. I'm not ashamed to the extent that I didn't understand what I was doing. I mean, that's not a defense in court, I realize. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. But I feel a little bit better when I tell myself that. But as I got wiser and older, and started becoming a consumer myself and getting into the fabric of society, I realized that car dealers were doing business the way horse traders did 100 years ago. And that's about how long ago that Henry Ford came around, introduced the first assembly mass production car. And since then, it's been all downhill for you, the car buyer. Bait and switch, exorbitant prices. We've just come through a period of the past 3 years, 4 years, where you, the consumer, have paid more money to buy a car. Any way you look at it, as a percentage of your disposable income, you paid more money, thousands of dollars over sticker price, and now we're down to about sticker. Some of the automotive media is claiming that the car prices are dropping considerably. Well, they're dropping, but not as far back as they say they're dropping. So it's buyer beware, and we're here to be on your side. We want you to call the show, plain and simple. We have a call-in number, 877-960-9960. Please write that down. You probably don't have a question right now. We're on the air for 2 hours. We'll be here until 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start at about 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday, live. Exciting. You know why my heart rate goes up when I sit in this chair in the studio, because I know a lot of ears and eyes are on us. We stream the show. We stream it on YouTube. Probably our biggest source of that sort of viewing and listening. YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. That's Earl, YouTube.com/Earl on Cars. And our number is 877-960-9960. Now, we have other avenues to communicate with us. A text number, which we accumulate texts as they come in. The text number is 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. So that way you don't have to get involved, and you can post your question either on YouTube or text, and we'll get to it during the 2 hours, probably. If you call, we'll get to it right away. And that's the reason we like the calls. We get a sense of your personality. You can't laugh in a text. I mean, you can go LOL or ha ha, but a hearty laugh on the telephone, you know what I'm talking about. It comes through your personality, who you are, how you feel, and how we feel. That's the reason live radio is so exciting, because you never know what's going to happen. We just let it go here in the studio. We yak back and forth. We criticize each other. We criticize you. You criticize us. We laugh at each other. It's fun. It's like a, get together. It's nothing
Party.
like.
And if you're not careful, you might just learn something.
Yeah, right. You can't give a person a textbook and say, read this, and that way you'll know how to do this. If you really want them to read something, you have to give them something they're interested in. So we want you to be interested. We want you to like us or hate us, or we want you to be involved with us and feel like you're part of the team. And then once you get involved, then you learn. And we have a lot of people that have learned, and we get a lot of calls and a lot of texts, a lot of emails thanking us for helping you avoid being ripped off by a car dealer. So don't hesitate. And for those who really hesitate, we have an anonymous way to call us. It's youranonymousfeedback.com. Yeah. YOURANONYMOUS, anonymous, your anonymous feedback.com. And if you go on that link and you post your comments, critical, complimentary, questions, whatever it is. And we don't know who you are, where you are, we can't come and find you. It is a great way to have total privacy and get off your chest what you want to get off your chest. I encourage car dealers to call, because we know there are a lot of car dealers out there listening and watching. Every now and then one will call, and every now and then we'll get a anonymous feedback. Not enough. I mean, we want you to be part of this dialogue here, because times are changing for you car dealers out there. Things are going to be a lot different. The Federal Trade Commission has a regulation that we're trying to help get passed, combating auto retail scams. Yeah, I love that. CARS, C-A-R-S, combating auto retail scams. The Federal Trade Commission has some regulations in effect that they are going to hopefully enforce, which is the key. They already have some regulations into effect. Unfortunately, they don't have the capacity to enforce them, but we're on that side. We're trying to get things changed in the auto retail industry. Now, sitting to my left is my wife, Nancy Stewart. It's hard for me to turn around and look at her because I have a crick in my neck, but she's over there. If I swivel my chair, I can see her. Okay. And she is our female advocate. And I say this, I know, your regular listeners, I hope you don't get tired of me saying it because it's important, that 20 some odd years ago, when we started this show, all we had were a bunch of guys calling the show. No ladies. And we brought Nancy Stewart on board, and she has brought our listening audience, our watching audience, and our calling audience up to about parity. We're just about 50-50. And we'd love to have you ladies call the show. So if you're female and you haven't called the show before, of course, if you've called the show before, please call again and again. But if you haven't called the show, we have a special offer for you, which sounds too good to be true. You have my word, it is not too good to be true. We do it. We have an offer for your first-time lady callers that Nancy Stewart will tell you about, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Nancy Stewart right now.
Good morning. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. And as Earl said, we do have a special deal for the ladies because we want to reach everyone in our listening audience. So, ladies, first two ladies, give us a call. You can win yourself $50 this morning, the first two new lady callers. And welcome to our pre-Easter party. So take advantage of that toll-free number, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And you might want to jot down the text number because you can use that when we do our mystery shopping report to vote on the mystery shop. That's 772-497-6530. And we have our dog of the week. You want to tune in for that. We have a live video from Big Dog Ranch, and you'll see our dog of the week, and his name is Ryder. He has a whole lot of energy. He's a little over a year old, and he is I believe he's a Labrador Retriever. So, that's close enough. Okay, we are going to go right to the phones, and we are going to talk to Bob in Lake Park. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning. Happy Easter, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Oh, thank you. I had an interesting experience at Wayne Acres yesterday. They got a vehicle in, a Mustang in that was very close to what I was looking for. So I took a ride over there to take a look at it. They brought it out to me. And the first thing I noticed was they put an addendum sticker on there, which I had never seen at that dealership before. It was called the Acres Advantage Plan, and it was over $1,700. It included the low jack, and of course, they get their dealer fee. It's $1,000. I bought a car from them before. They're fairly decent people to work with, but this is a new thing for that dealership. I've never seen them put addendums on their cars before.
I'm surprised. They've been around for a long time. We haven't shopped them in a while, but if they haven't put them on in the past, they're one of the few in this area who haven't.
Right. Well, the one thing that I thought was very interesting, and I was talking to the salesman there, for some particular reason, all the Mustangs that they get in there are very well appointed. They do a wonderful job of having different packages and different interior and exterior color combinations. And I told the salesman, I says, you ought to pat that fella on the back that orders the car. And he told me it wasn't a fella.
Yeah.
It's a female.
Female, well.
Yep. And I told him, I says, well, that makes sense because no other dealer in South Florida, and I looked at all of them. And most of the cars they order are very plain, and they just done a wonderful job. They also told me that they also have a problem in the service area. They can't find any mechanics, so they're in the same position as Molinex. They can't find anybody that wants to work.
Yeah, big problem.
Service
That's
the cars.
There's too few jobs and too many people looking for jobs, and it's just of all the trades, working with your hands, those sort of jobs are more and more people are going for the white collar job, and to find really good skilled technicians in any field, especially automotive, is difficult.
Right. Well, Nancy, did you know that if you order a Bentley, you could get a diamond-encrusted gas cap?
I did not.
Well, yeah.
I didn't either.
Somehow that doesn't excite me, Bob.
Well, the reason I brought up gas caps, and I wanted to talk to Rick about it. Toyota, do they use a universal gas cap on all their models, Rick?
For the most part, they've modified a couple of them through the years. Some of them are the screw in, and when you twist it in a certain amount, it'll click, and you'll get several clicks if you need to tell you that it's sealed. Others have like a kind of a lug system, two big lugs that go in and turns about 3/4 of a turn, and you get just one click to tell you that it's now sealed in properly.
Right, and the reason I asked you is because you had a, I think Anne Marie had asked you about a gas cap last week, and you had mentioned to her to go buy one for $40. And I'm thinking, why don't you just go to the Pick and Pay? You could pull your own gas cap from the salvage yard for $5,
Yeah.
and most likely it's going to fit the Toyota because they probably use mostly the same cap on all their cars.
Yeah, there's going to be two different, usually just the two different designs. The only drawback with getting them from the junkyards like that, you don't know what condition the gasket or the sealing portion of that cap is actually going to be in. And for the little extra cost, to get one like from Rock Auto or Discount Auto Parts nearby, a nearby store, you can still save like $20. Pick up a gas cap for $25, and you know that it's going to be brand new. You know it's going to seal properly. And believe it or not, the number one cause of a check engine light on Toyotas that I've worked on is a gas cap. The gas cap starts to not seal properly, and it leaks vapors just enough that because of federal emissions, it triggers that check engine light. And that annoying little light staring at you, accusing you of not taking care of your
It's just
car.
not the annoying light, because some people bring the car in because the check engine light comes on, and if you get a disreputable mechanic or service department, they're going to tell you you need a new transmission. So
Yeah.
one of the big problems with all the cars, as Rick says, most of the times that check engine light goes on is because of gas cap. But what an opportunity for the wolves that are waiting to sell you something you don't need.
Yep.
Right. Can you replace? Is the gasket itself replaceable on the cap?
No, even, I mean, for the price of it, you're gonna just get a new cap.
Right. I got it. Okay. Well, that's all I got, folks. You all have a wonderful holiday weekend. I'll
Thank you,
listen to
Bob.
the rest of the show and the mystery shopping report.
Oh, thank you,
very
Bob.
much.
Thanks
Have a
for
great
being
day.
part of the show. Give us a call again. We are going to go to, oh gosh, we do have some calls backed up. Excuse me. Boy, everybody's got it this morning, huh? Coughing and blowing our noses.
Allergies and pollen.
There you go. Palm trees and flowers. We're going to go to Paul in Lake Worth. Good morning, Paul.
You there, Paul?
Good
Hi,
morning.
Hi, this is Paul, actually in Lake Park.
Oh, Lake Park. Okay.
Okay, I have a 2019 Chevrolet Sonic, and it's I have an extended warranty on that car. It's a 2019. I bought it like two and a half years ago, and yesterday morning I went to start the car, and it just made tick 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 tick. Like the sound of a dead battery.
Yep.
And the battery that I had in it, was only just about a year old. Okay, and it's like the third battery that I've had in that car since I bought it. Okay, so I ended up calling a tow truck. I was going to have it towed to the to where I bought the car, and to the dealership. And the guy in the tow truck saved me a little bit of time by going ahead and just jumping me and sending me on my way to the dealership. And he said, by all means, don't turn the car off at any time, along the way. So I got to the dealership, and I told the service rep the problem, and he said, well, let's go ahead and turn the car off since you're here, and then we'll try to restart it. Well, we turned the car off, and it just started right back up. And then he ran, and then one of those analyzers on the car, and it came back perfectly normal. Every category said normal. Okay, so he sent me on my way. He said the battery sounds like it's in excellent, in excellent shape. Well, I'm a delivery guy, so I do a lot of deliveries, and I got through the day. On my last delivery, the car would not start.
Oh, boy.
It did the same thing. I popped the hood, and that battery was almost ready to explode. It was spewing acid. It was expanded.
Yeah.
And
They did you a disservice.
So what happened?
Right off the bat, I'm going to guess that you have one cell in that battery that was starting to short out. And when it did, it went quickly downhill when that cell finally failed completely. Their tester should have picked that up. I would have to wonder if they were using a Chevy authorized warranty level battery tester, or if the guy just grabbed one of the quick little handheld testers. But yeah, he did you a disservice. That battery from your complaint that you had, at the minimum, he should have said, look, let's get it in the shop. Let's check for a parasitic draw, make sure that we don't have something that's drawing it down overnight, and do a comprehensive test on that battery and the charging system. But that really sounds like that battery was just on its last legs. And it can happen that way. I've seen batteries that we get them out of parts department, install it in the car, and it starts up and drives fine. And an hour later, the customer comes back and the battery has failed. It just, unfortunately, sometimes you get a bad one.
Yeah. So, do you believe there's anything that could be causing that wear on my batteries? Maybe an alternator problem?
Now, that is certainly possible. The possible causes there is if your alternator is excessively charging the battery, it's pushing too much voltage back into that battery. That can cause excessive gassing and overheating of the battery. Other thing, and now this one I would take it from the way you described it, a little less likely, but a parasitic draw. In other words, kind of imagine like one little light is staying on, and overnight it draws the battery, makes it very weak. So it's hard for that battery to get charged all the way back up when you're driving it the next day.
Paul, try some of these remedies that Rick has described. We've got a bunch of people holding online here, and the best thing to do is just be careful. Find yourself a reliable technician that will do what Rick is trying to do here. You need to get an independent, probably rather than a dealer technician, and someone with ASE certification in batteries and alternators, electrical certification, ASE certified in electrical. For ASE, that's American. What is it?
It's Automotive Service Excellence.
Auto Service Excellence. It's the name of the game when it comes to choosing a technician. Auto Service Excellence, and find one that will talk to you and help you diagnose it, because otherwise you're going to get sold a bill of goods, and you're still going to have the same problem. By the way, if you have to replace that battery, go to Consumer Reports. Well, while you were talking to Rick, I pulled it up. I looked at the batteries. There's an Odyssey Extreme battery that's recommended for $359 that has a 99 rating. It goes all the way down to the battery you don't want to buy, which is a Die-Hard Silver 35 with a 29 rating, but it's only $200. Spend the $359 and get the best battery, and get the best auto certified, the American
ASE.
Yeah, ASE certified, and they'll help you out. We got to move on. Thanks for the call.
Absolutely, and thank you.
Good luck, Paul. Ladies, this morning I have $50 for the first two new lady callers. Would you be willing to share your experience with us in purchasing a vehicle? Maybe you were in service and you had to get your car serviced for the family. Not only would you be talking to us, but you would be helping our female and male listeners and with your experience, and that will encourage them to give us a call in turn. We are going to go to Denise. Speaking of first-time callers, Denise calls us from Royal Palm Beach. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning.
Welcome. You just won yourself $50 for the first new female caller. If you stay on the line, you can talk to Jeremy in the control room, and he'll take your contact information, pass it to me, and I'll get you a check out for $50 this weekend.
Oh, thank you. Just in time. Today's my birthday, too, so...
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday.
How wild is that? Happy birthday, Denise.
Well, thank you. I got an early present. A
Absolutely.
2024 4Runner.
Great.
That's a great present.
Beautiful red. I do have a question about it. I really love all the extra touches, like the beautiful backup camera and the blind side, little light on the side. All these little touches are so wonderful. But I have a question. When you hit the brake, it's pretty mushy. It reminds me of an old Cadillac with bad shocks. Is that something that you have to get used to?
What was your previous car?
That's what I'm going to ask. Hybrid?
Yeah. What were you driving previously?
A Dodge Grand Caravan.
Okay. How old was it?
My other one?
Yeah.
A 2010.
Okay, so it was a bit older. Yeah, newer cars, especially the newest ones, the ABS systems, for some reason, they've modified what they call the spring systems inside the ABS module, and the brakes just feel a lot lighter in a lot of cases on these cars. It's one of those things where you kind of want to drive it and get used to how it feels. Obviously, your first thing you want to do is get on like an open lot or something, get it up to around 20 miles an hour, and give it a good firm stop. And if that brake still feels squishy and it doesn't feel like it's stopping normally, in a reasonable amount of time, then go back and have it checked by them to make sure that those brakes are operating properly. And you may even ask them, is there another one on the lot that you can drive just for comparison for your own peace of mind?
I was going to suggest that, as I was going to wonder. I wondered if 4Runners did have a softer feeling brake. I drove my brother Josh's car. 4Runner drives a new 4Runner. I'm driving a hybrid Sequoia, and I had the sensation. I thought that's feeling really soft. He didn't think so. I go, why are your brakes so soft? He goes, they're not. They're normal to him.
Yeah, there's a subjective feel to it. So that's why as a technician, I always like to ask what car were you coming out of, because a lot of the, especially Dodge, their ABS systems, I don't really like them too much because it doesn't feel like the ABS would kick in very much. Anti-lock brakes is supposed to prevent your tires from ever locking up by getting too hard a pressure. So you should be able to step on the brake nice and hard, and the vehicle should come to a smooth stop without the tires making any sort of screeching sound like they're locking up. But basically, it's getting used to those brakes, how they feel. And if they still don't feel good to you, ask if there's another one you can compare to.
And Denise, it's amazing how different, the older cars are as far as driving compared to a newer car. It's a huge difference, and it takes a while to get used to. I hope we were able to help you. Do you have any other questions?
Well, what it is when you're inching into your parking space, You know how you want to go a little bit and a little bit, a little bit, so you don't, run into the
Yes.
parking stanchion. It rocks, almost like the shocks are bad. It bounces. It's not the brakes so much as it the whole thing bounces, and it just reminded me of a Cadillac in the past without any shocks. The shocks were bad. I just was wondering if that was supposed to rock like that.
I think driving
that's-
another one just to make sure you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's not before you drove the one that you bought. Did you test drive this one?
Oh yes.
Okay, the exact one, or did you order this one?
No, this exact one.
Oh, okay. I would think that's a good idea. Go to the dealer and see if there's another 4Runner just to drive and feel the brakes and see if there's something markedly different. It sounds like it's just a difference of models, but anything we could be wrong. So that might give you some peace of mind.
Yeah, Denise,
A little more driving. I only have 500 miles on it, so
that comparison drive that the guys suggested, it's a good idea. That'll clear things up for you. I hope you'll give us a call back and let us know how it went.
oh, I will. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday!
Okay, happy birthday and stay on the line.
Thank you.
You're welcome. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. We are going to go to Jonathan, who's calling us from Stewart. Good morning, Jonathan.
Yes, good morning. I have a question for Rick. I bought a 2013 Lexus RX 350, and I was getting kind of low on gas, so I drive up to Jensen Beach, and I go to BJ's because it's cheaper, so I get out a big long line, finally get up there to do it. I push the button for the gas door to open, and it doesn't open. So I go back and push it and everything like that, and some guy gets out, tries to help me and everything. Couldn't get it, so I take it up to, I Googled it, and I took it up to Lexus dealer, and they say, well, we can take it in here and do all this stuff. They didn't charge me anything at first. And so, anyway, I Googled it, and it's like the spring thing. You open, when the door comes open, we pried it open, pushing the button at the Lexus dealer, but the little button thing there is, because when you shut the door, that opening on the outside of the door, that slot, the button goes in there. So what do you think it is? I mean, because I can't drive around with the thing open.
I'm willing to bet it's that spring clip. Now, the easiest way to get that door open is take if you can find, this sounds crazy, find a small hard stick or something, a popsicle stick or something, even in something thin enough that you can wrap a paper napkin around it a time or two, put it in the gap around that fuel door opening, and push it in so to get some pressure on it. And then hit the button, and that stick keeping the pressure on it, will cause that door to pop open. And if you've got two people, it's even easier because you can catch it with that stick and get some pressure, and then have them push the button, and it'll pop open without hurting your paint. And then inside there's you'll see a little plastic piece, and it's supposed to have a metal spring on it that's like in the shape of a V. And the plastic clip for that right at the hinge, it breaks, and that little metal V falls off and is gone.
Do you have popsicle sticks in your toolbox?
As a matter of fact, I do, and pipe cleaners.
I could go get some. That might be fun getting to the stick.
Yeah, well, you could break a stick off a nearby bush.
You can
wrap a paper napkin around it.
I saw you out the other day breaking sticks off.
You can run over to the 7-Eleven.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Get an ice cream bar, enjoy it, and then you got a stick.
There you go.
Most gas stations have a convenience store right there.
That's right.
Grab a popsicle, go to town.
Fudgesicle.
But I mean, it's basically it's getting some pressure on that door to simulate that spring action. And once you get it open, leave it open until you can get a replacement. And that replacement costs like $5 to $6 retail. I mean, it's very inexpensive, but it does require a little pocket screwdriver or something to pop the old one out and pop a new one in place. And
Okay,
once you
so-
see the design on it and how it goes in, it's very obvious how the one end will wedge under and the little clip snaps down, and you've got that spring
But
clip.
if you brought it to the dealer for that work, what would they charge you?
About $50.
$50. So you save yourself $45 right here.
Okay,
I
yeah,
tried.
that's good. So-
Jonathan, it sounds like an inexpensive fix for you. So, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, okay, so let me just ask to make sure I understand this, because when I Googled it, I saw that little clip on the left-hand side. I'm looking at the door. I got it open. On the left-hand side, there's that clip thing,
Yep.
but I'm trying to
Little
figure out
V.
why you little popped it. But on the other side of the door is that little button that goes in and out, the little thing that you can push in and out.
Yep.
It's got a spring in it. So,
Yep.
so which side am I going to put the stick on? The side where the spring thing is, or
On the,
popsicle stick?
it's on the side where the hinge for the door is. It's on that
Okay.
left side where the hinge is.
Okay, so kind of right behind it.
Yeah.
Okay, got you, buddy. Thank you guys so much.
Call us back and let us know if it worked, will you?
Yeah, good luck, Jonathan.
As a matter of fact, most places like a discount auto parts, O'Reilly's or that, if they have, a lot of them will carry that spring clip in stock, and if they have it, I guarantee the employee will be happy to come out and help you get that door open to help you pop it in place.
Oh, great idea.
Great idea.
And then again,
Okay.
it's $5 to $7,
Yeah,
and
and
you're
it-
back on the road.
Inexpensive fix. Thanks so much,
Okay, I'll let you
Jonathan.
know. Yeah, I'll let you know what flavor of popsicles I got too.
Yeah, please do.
Goodbye.
I like cherry.
Give us a call next week. Have a great weekend and a happy Easter, Jonathan. We're going to go to Mike in Fort Lauderdale. Good morning, Mike. Welcome.
Well, good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
You're
what I
wel-
want to call about is not about car problems, although I have a lot. I got a 2006 Cadillac, many problems. But what I'm calling about is to tell you how informative your program is.
Oh, thank
I
you.
listen to a lot of talk radio, and some of it is insincere and dishonest and confusing, especially in the politics, But your program is boy, do I learn a lot about junk fees, about the strike, the auto workers strike you talked about recently, how long dealerships are going to last, car repairs, of course, and the state of the industry. And it's amazing. I like to listen to learn something, and I learn a whole lot from listening to you people. So I want to thank you very much for that. That's really what I have to say.
Well, you made our day,
also-
Mike. Thank you so much.
Oh, also, you saved me some money because you said about buying out a lease for a car. My brother's buying out his lease, and I told him, Earl said you have to pay the contract price, not a penny more.
Right.
And he did, and I said, you know what? I think I'll buy that car. So a good car, a 19,000-mile car, Buick, with 3 years, 19,000 miles on it for a very, very good price. So I learned a whole lot.
Hey, we're
That's
having
what
an
I want
effect.
to say.
Well, you make getting up at 5 o'clock every Saturday morning worthwhile to us, and I thank you very much.
I appreciate that a lot. When you listen, the secret of radio, if you find out information that you can use and it's helpful to you, as well as a lot of nonsense stuff that goes around. So you did a wonderful job for 5 o'clock in the morning. It's only 8:30 here. So,
Thanks so much, Mike.
thank you a lot. Have
We
a happy-
appreciate your call. And you're right, it's a win-win situation. Free advice. So give us a call toll-free at 877-960-9960. And you can also text us at 772-497-6530. I will mention again that I need one more new female caller. She can win herself $50 this morning just by calling in, maybe sharing her purchasing, servicing experience. And as I said earlier, it will help other listeners that have tuned in to the show. 877-960-9960. We're going to go to Howard, and Howard's calling us from Jupiter. Thank you for calling, Howard. Nice to hear from you.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
My question is, the seat belts. My passenger seat belt works fine. Great. It, passenger gets in, puts it on, takes it off, it goes right up. Mine, it stays down a little bit, and I have to nudge it a little bit, then it goes all the way up. It's a lazy seat belt. Now, how could that be fixed?
Basically, you've got two causes of that. Number one is, well, it's because the driver's side, it's the one that gets used all the time. Your passenger side gets about 50% of use by comparative in most places. So the seatbelt webbing itself, over the years, it's getting dirty, it's getting wet and drying out, and you'll notice that that seatbelt is not nearly as flexible anymore. That webbing material is starting to get stiff. That makes it harder for it to retract in, and the spring that's inside the seatbelt that does that retraction is also getting a little bit weaker over the age. So over the years, it's losing a little bit of its tension.
What's the cost to replace a seatbelt?
Depending on the vehicle, the part can be anywhere around $150 to $300, sometimes more on certain luxury vehicles or more expensive ones. Labor on that, I'm going to say, is usually going to be about an hour and a half. So figure about $200 to $250 in labor.
There should be a lifetime warranty on all seat belts, and when you have a problem, if it's difficult, as Howard describes, when it's difficult to put on, and I go through this all the time, I end up putting my seatbelt on, because that's me. But there are a lot of people that just say to hell with it. And if it weren't for the warning beepers and the buzzers and the rest of it, why wouldn't the government, the NHTSA, have a lifetime warranty on seatbelt replacement?
Well, they don't go lifetime, but seatbelts are covered by federal law under the safety portion of the vehicle. So it's 8 years, 80,000 miles by law for the operation of that seatbelt.
Does that include difficulty of putting them on?
In the retraction mode, that's kind of a gray area in most cases.
We need to investigate that.
If the technician words it and the service writer words it properly when they write it up, then that seatbelt can be replaced under warranty.
Howard, you want to be our guinea pig on that? We'll try to get you a new seatbelt.
Absolutely. I'll come in Monday.
Okay.
Will that be okay?
Yeah, ka-ching.
Okay.
And I get paid by Toyota for that, too.
That's great. It's great doing something together with you.
There you go.
And we have a conspiracy against Toyota live on radio on the air. I think I better be careful, but we'll do our best.
Howard, how old is your vehicle and how many miles do you have on it?
2017 Camry. I have the 60,000 miles.
Okay, so you're within that 8 year, 80,000 miles.
Yes. So should I see you on Monday?
Yes.
Tell them that you do not feel safe because it does not feel like the seatbelt is retracting or locking up properly.
Bingo.
When it's being pulled out.
Bingo. Be sure they write that down. I feel unsafe in the car because, and then describe the problem with the seatbelt. That's the way we got a national recall on dashes on Camrys and other vehicles, which spread to Honda and all the other makes. When a car owner has a safety issue, that is a red light. The NHTSA, everybody jumps on board safety. So it's unsafe, say so, we'll get you a new seatbelt.
Okay, one thing about 10 years ago, when I bought a car from you, I was driving down from New York, and I was in North Florida, and I got out to get gas, and the seatbelt didn't work at all. So I called you, and you told me go to a Toyota place, and they'll take care of it. So I went to the first Toyota. I had to wait 2 hours, and they changed the seatbelt for me. But the car was only like a year old.
Great.
It was a 2007 Camry.
Wow.
And you told me personally, I spoke to you personally. You said, go to this Toyota, I forget the name of the place, and they will take care of you. And just said that, tell them that I called you, and everything was. And when I got there's no questions. They took care of it right away. I had to wait about 2 hours, so it's worth it. But thanks for your help. You've been a great guy. And Rick, you're also a great mechanic, and I appreciate your help. And I'll see you Monday.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Howard. Look forward to seeing you. We are going to go to Marty, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're great. Happy Easter.
Same to you and everybody there. What I wanted to tell you, this is a DMV story.
Oh, good.
I bought my wife's Honda CRV last week, so I had to go to the Palm Beach County, one of the DMV offices. Well, first of all, now you need an appointment, which is a good thing. They give you and once I went at the appointment time, they give you a number. Now I went in line, and it only took me 20 minutes to do the title transfer. But my point is to tell people this. I leased the car under my name, and my wife's name was not on the title. So I wanted to put her on the title. And what I did before I went there, I called the DMV's phone number, and the woman there was very nice, and she told me, well, if she's not going with you, we've got a power of attorney letter that you don't need a lawyer or anything. It's really just a power of attorney thing just for the DMV. And my wife had to sign it, I signed it, and I could leave her home. She's not too thrilled with sitting there. So going to the DMV, I told the guy what I wanted, and the first thing the guy said to me, oh, she's not here, you need a power of attorney. I said, geez, I just so happen to have it. Gave it to him. The whole process took 20 minutes.
Nice.
That's amazing, Marty.
And the whole cost was $82. So the guy said to me, if you want, I can print the title out right here. It's an extra $10. So I said, well, go for it.
Interesting.
Because I don't want to wait for the mail.
Yeah, save you some time.
So it came to $92. $2 of that was credit card fee, but it was very fast, very quick, very efficient. And if you go to most dealers with one of their junk fees, they charge about $300
Oh, yeah.
to do that process.
Sure.
So for anybody that wants to do that, that's the way to do it. And don't buy the lease through the dealer. Send your check directly to Honda or wherever the car was.
That's a great message. That's good to know. You know, the Department of Motor Vehicles can be your best friend. It's a government agency, but in our experience over the years, they're staffed by some pretty good people. And of all the government agencies, which I hate government agencies in general, but the Department of Motor Vehicles, the Florida particularly, I haven't dealt with all of them, obviously, but they seem to do a pretty good job. They also have the power of life and death over car dealers, and car dealers know that. Most people don't, but if you don't have a license from the DMV, and you're a car dealer, you can't sell cars. I mean, in fact, nobody can sell cars unless you have a license. So a letter from the Department of Motor Vehicles to a car dealer saying, you're doing something we don't like, please change. Marty just came in and talked to us and told us what you did, and that's not right, please correct it. You'd be surprised how quickly the dealer will jump into the right mode of operation. They go directly to the dealer, the owner of the dealership, and they give them a warning. And when a franchise car dealer gets a warning from the DMV, they salute, stand at attention, and take care of it right away. So it's a good agency for people to know about. And what you just told us is something even nicer, that they can take care of this type of work a lot cheaper than the dealer will charge you for.
Yeah, now, when you do it in your dealership, since you're honest, what do you send a person in? Like, in other words, you're not doing one car at a time.
No, we use a service, a computerized service, and it costs us, I think, about $10 administratively, and they do all the registration and tag work for us. So the other dealers They spend the $10 and they mark it up to $500 and charge it as a junk fee. But we consider it an overhead cost of doing business. I mean, $10. You know, when we used to do it ourselves and work with a DMV and go back and forth, we had to pay a full-time person to do this and work with the DMV, and so the $10 is a huge savings for us. We don't mark it up and call it an electronic filing fee and charge you $500 for it.
Right, right. Well, I just wanted to say they were very efficient, very friendly, and they got about. I went to the one on Military Trail because that was the first appointment I could get, and they got about 25 stations. And they tell you when you walk in, if you're doing title, they tell you sit by stations 1 through 4. And, you know, very efficient now. And
Good information, Marty. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Marty, it's amazing.
Just to let you know, the guy credited COVID
Yep.
with being more efficient now.
Absolutely.
Changed a lot.
Absolutely. It sounds like a Marty, you really reached a lot of our listeners this morning. This is a great call. And as I said, you've reached a lot of our listeners who, you know, had a lot of questions. You answered them. Have a great weekend.
Have a good holiday.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, did you pick up the Florida Weekly this past week? That is the March 28th. I think it's the March 28th, April 3rd edition. It is one of Earl's great columns. Car buyers pay thousands more in hidden junk fees. What a great read this is. And if you haven't heard him talk about cars, have you heard? If you haven't heard him talk about cars, this here will fill you in on what he's trying to do to make things right.
Combat auto retail scams, the Federal Trade Commission new regulation they're trying to get through.
There you go. Combating auto retail scams rule, known as CARS. It is a great read. Pick it up. And if you didn't get the Florida Weekly, you can find it in the Hometown News or at Earl on Cars. You can read all of his columns. We're going to go to Frank, who is calling us from Jupiter Farms. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to you all. Happy Easter, of course.
Happy Frank. Easter, Frank.
I got to tell you what a small world this is. A night ago, maybe Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. We were heading up to Stewart to meet some family members for celebration, some birthdays up at a restaurant called Nostalgia. But before we went there, we had to go by the Audi dealership that you guys mystery shopped a couple years ago and actually gave them a good grade because the key fobs was showing that our batteries were getting low. You try and go in the car and it says key fob battery low. So before you got to go through that. And we stopped there at the Audi dealership and they said bring both fobs, the one you use and the one you got spare. And they put new batteries in and off we went. No charge. I go, what a nice dealership. Ooh. Then as we were sitting there, because we had a reservation Nostalgia, so we killed a little time drinking some of their coffee instead of going up there and sitting there. We were talking to some employees on Saturday. Every Saturday, the general manager treats them to pizza or subs or something. I go, holy cow, what a nice incentive for their employees.
Yeah.
And the employees are happy. Like when we go to Earl Stewart, the employees are happy. So you guys got it right, and I got to compliment you. For very few dealers have happy employees, it seems.
All you need is some pizza, and no, I'm just kidding. No, that helps though. That definitely helps. That's a really good thing to do.
Yeah, but food is definitely an incentive.
Yeah, so we're driving up US 1, and we go by Wallace Chevrolet, and I go, I remember that. That was on your thing last week or so, and they got all these trucks with this big $20,000 off.
Oh no!
Sales signs on $20,000, and Anne-Marie goes to me. Is that sure? I said, no, they really got mystery shop a week or so ago. You can't believe the hoops you got to jump through to get, $5,000 off, let alone $20,000. Yeah. And I said, well, if we had more time, we might just go there and play and see and, do a little, a second mystery shop. But
That's
anyway,
a big thing. I'm seeing, like, I was noticing on TV, the huge discounts are back, mainly on the domestic dealers. But I haven't seen 20,000 on TV, but I've seen 10,000 with different manufacturers, and this is on the digital TV, OTT. If you're watching streaming TV, it's becoming more and more. It's a very popular advertising avenue. As a matter of fact, we're doing it there as well, and it's reminding me of the old days with the big discounts and the quick little glimpse of the fine print.
Exactly. And then so I went online this morning just to make sure that was what, and I called them and they said, yeah, it's the end of the quarter, so it runs out today. Today's the last day because we're closed tomorrow for Easter. And I said, oh, okay, that's all right. So, well, let me go check the manager. No, come in and ask for a manager. We'll give it to you next month, too. But they said it's up to $22,500 MSRP, and there's 100 Silverados to choose from. They're 2023s. And then there's little, by the way, if you want another 1,000, just show us your Costco card when you come in.
New 2022s?
No, 23s.
They're calling it 23s. But do you hear that? They said for another $1,000 off, bring your Costco card. That's come on.
Yeah,
that's abusing the program.
It's truly amazing how that you bring it to light. And so, with that, I better let you get to other callers. And
thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
I'll tell you what. I'll send you on the text thing. We had a nice birthday party here at the house, and we had a chef come over and cook paella, seafood paella for the whole crowd.
Where do you find those?
Oh God, I'll talk to you. I got to come in this week, and we're going to do that title thing.
Okay.
Get my name, my son's truck, but I'll give you the guy's name.
Okay.
I don't want to do some advertising on the radio and get in trouble, but no, it was unbelievably delicious. So.
All right,
again, you all have a great time. I'm glad your turtle nest made it through. And actually, I've been over near Ranch Colony. Is it Ranch Colony where you guys live?
Henley Colony.
Yeah. Anyway, when the policemen had lost something, they wanted me to bring my metal detectors and do some search and recovery mission. So, yeah, it's a very nice, interesting place. I guess. Let me think who the guy was. Roy Root, was he in there with you guys at one time? Do you remember?
It sounds familiar. We have the nicest police force of all time. It's like Mayberry. Everybody knows the cops. The cops knew everybody. Nice place.
Yeah, I saw they had one bullet. Everyone had one bullet, so that's kind of nice.
We got to run, Frank. Thank you very much for the call.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Was he referring to Gomer Powell?
It might have been Andy Griffith.
877-960-9960 and give us a call. And you can also text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymousfeedback.com. We are still in Tennessee doing another mystery shopping report, so you want to stay tuned for that. Now, we can go to text. We can go to YouTubers.
I got an exciting one from Anne Marie.
Yeah, you had fire in your eyes.
No. Because sometimes I think we've made a whole show without getting to a text before when we get really busy, and I feel bad for Anne Marie, who she gets in really early. She says, "Good morning. Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed Tuesday. The one was struck by a 948-foot-long, heavily loaded container ship. It lost power and steering. Port of Baltimore was the busiest U.S. port for car shipments, having handled over 750,000 vehicles in 2023. Reportedly, GM, Ford, Stellantis, Subaru, Mercedes-Benz used the part of the port that is now bottled up. BMW and Volkswagen also use the port, but they use the Trade Point Atlantic Terminal. It's located at the mouth of the harbor before the fallen bridge. So those manufacturers don't expect any shipping impacts from the disaster. I didn't see Toyota mentioned in the news report that I've read so far, which prompts the question, which ports does Toyota use for importing and exporting the cars here in the U.S.? And number two, will Toyota be impacted by the disaster? Not very heavily. I looked this up. I didn't know. We didn't get any notifications from Toyota, which usually means that probably it's not a big impact.
Well, most of our cars are manufactured in the United States. So.
Right. And they do impact. They mainly use Baltimore for a small amount of exports. We're exporting cars that we build in the United States out to other countries.
It'll probably hurt Japan because Toyota exports Toyotas to Japan.
Right. Yeah.
From the United States.
But it's not a big one. Like a big one on the East Coast is Newark and Jacksonville, and just I guess lucked out. We didn't have a big we're not a big activity at Port of Baltimore. But yeah, the other ones are going to be hurt. I don't know how it's going to impact. I wouldn't be surprised if it's used as an excuse for higher prices, maybe availability.
Yeah, well, psychologically, they might use it for some.
Yeah, it's not.
The dealers will probably have an addendum label about the St. Francis Bridge.
The dealers will.
Label.
Right,
Yeah.
the dealers will. The manufacturers won't. They're going to reroute their traffic to other ports.
Yeah, definitely. And I read that it's going to have a minor effect on the auto industry. Definitely nothing like it was during COVID.
When I first started with Toyota, they used to send us for training in Jacksonville, and that was where a lot of the cars would come in. We were right at the port.
Yeah.
And we could go to the cafeteria there for lunch before 9/11. It was like Toyota land. There was literally parking lots that seemed to have like
Horizons.
10 or 20,000 Toyotas. It was all Toyotas as far as you could see, all directions, and it was insane. And sometimes as we were driving cars as part of our training, we could drive down through all the way to the riverfront, and it was just Toyotas everywhere. It was
forest
the
of
weirdest
Toyotas.
feeling is it was just all these new cars.
When did you say that happened?
That was before 9/11 of 2001, because after 9/11, they got super strict on anyone allowed to get in that port area.
Boy.
And as trainees, we weren't allowed to be in there.
What a sight. Okay, folks, give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960. And Stu has more texts for you after I take this call. And Rick has some YouTubes to share with the audience. We're going to go to Mark in Lake Worth.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. I've got a question for Rick regarding a pesky engine light. On my 2016 Toyota RAV4, the engine light came on yesterday. I had the code red, and it triggered the fuel cap, which I thought was odd because I actually replaced the fuel cap a week ago, and it was driving fine with the new fuel cap. So, and I've also cleaned the neck and the housing around the spout area, and I can't figure out why I can't get the light to go off.
It sounds like you were listening to the show, the earlier part of the show. We were discussing just that.
So you most likely have codes P0440, P0441, or 446.
That's what I was going to say.
And P0456.
It's actually P0455. Got the
55.
Printout right here.
A gross leak. Okay. First thing I would be looking at is the purge valve under the hood. Basically, what this one does is when you fill your car with gasoline, the gasoline vapors that are in the tank are not allowed to be let out to the atmosphere. Those are sucked into the charcoal canister, and they're actually stored there in a vapor state. Then when you start your car up and the engine's been running for about 1.5 to 2 minutes, the purge system will come on, and it will suck a vacuum in that charcoal canister and pull all those vapors into the engine and let them burn through. Now, if that purge valve is staying open, if it gets stuck open, that will cause that P0455 code, which is what's known as a gross leak. That's a big leak that means either your fuel cap has totally failed, or that purge valve, or somewhere else under there you have a really big hole in one of those vapor lines or in the charcoal canister itself. You could possibly have had a rat get up on top inside there and chewed through a vapor line, and that would also cause that code. So it's something that you're going to need to get checked by the dealership. If you want to try just the quick DIY, those purge valves are going to be running right around $50, $60. And the way you tell it is it's up near the air cleaner, and one hose is going to come off of it and go to a metal pipe that goes back underneath the car, heading back towards your fuel tank area. And the other hose is going to come off of it and go to the throttle body, and then you're going to have a single electrical plug to it. So if you wanted to swap that out, you could do that yourself for no charge, and you just kind of, if you want to throw the guess at it, about a $40, $50 part that you can get from Pep Boys, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, any of those, and give that a try. And if that doesn't cure it, then you'd need to get the system vacuum checked, and they would actually run a smoke machine to look and see where those leaks might be occurring.
That doesn't sound like fun. Well, I guess my next question is how serious is it? Because I need to do some driving yet before I can fully repair it.
It means nothing. The only thing that those codes mean is that if Florida still had an emission state, you wouldn't be able to pass emissions.
Yeah, you can put some black tape over the red light, and that way it won't bother you anymore.
The only other drawback to it is that if something else on the car were to have a problem, some other system, you wouldn't know it because that check engine light is on. So if you simply take and you check the codes like once a week, if you got one of those little inexpensive code pullers and you pull those codes and clear them out just once a week and look if anything new comes up, then you check that out. But otherwise, you could just leave that thing alone. And like Earl says, a little bit of black tape over that check engine light so it's not staring at you, and you're all good, because we don't have emissions testing in this state. And, it's maybe not the best ecological answer, but financially, it's a lot better.
So the canister purge valve is replaceable by myself, possibly.
Yeah, because it's, like I said, it's right under the hood.
Anything beyond that, probably not.
Yeah, because the charcoal canister and those lines, they're buried on top of the fuel tank, back by that back axle area, and those could be much more difficult
if your
to get
conscience doesn't bother you about the possibility of polluting the atmosphere a little bit more, then you have nothing to worry about.
Well, that's a fair point. One other question, please. Am I correct? As long as the engine light is not blinking, it's not a critical failure?
Well, a blinking light usually is going to have one other indicator. Your car's going to be running rough. That usually indicates a misfire. And if it's a severe misfire, then you're going to feel that. But a blinking light generally means that it's a misfire, or it's something that...
It's something more serious, right?
If that condition continues, it can cause more damage.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. All right, that's very good to know. And I have a quick follow-up for Earl. A few months ago, I called asking how I could get rid of some brown spots that were on the bumper, that were underneath the decal.
Yeah.
And it was very frustrating. Well, it turns out you've got a guy at your shop, Ricardo. I had a chat with him, and he took care of it.
Wow!
And it was very reasonably priced, and he did a great job on it. So tell others if they've got the brown spots under the decals. Ricardo is able to pull that, clean it up, and replace the decals, and it looks great now.
Fantastic.
Well, thanks very much for the plug.
It's not very well known that Ricardo is Rick's alter ego.
Okay.
Dum, dum, dum.
Just kidding. No, Ricardo runs our tent and accessories department, and he does a great job with that. So good job, Ricardo.
Well, he did for me, and I appreciate it.
Great story. Thanks so much,
Well,
Mark.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. Happy Easter. We are going to go back to either text or YouTube.
What I'd like to do is get that. Can you put that up for me? Before we do that, I had something I wanted to cover because of the combat auto retail scams. There's a lot of conversation about whether or not we should be pressing the dealers for cleaning up their act. And this is an advertisement that is on local, and I say local, it's in South Florida, from a car dealership by the name of Palm Beach Toyota. And it's so typical. I say this with a slight amount of hesitation because, as I say, we have a Toyota dealership. But it fits into what this whole issue of combat auto retail scams, Federal Trade Commission regulations all about. The car dealers that want to be honest, the car dealers that want to treat you right and be transparent are prohibited from doing so because of the competition of advertising by dealers who don't want to be honest, like Palm Beach Toyota. And on the screen, if you're streaming us, you will see an advertisement for a new 2024 Corolla, new 2024 Toyota Corolla, $99 a month. Now, all you'll be able to see from this is, $99 a month.
Wow.
I'm going to go get me a new Toyota Corolla
I may
for
get, might get
$99 a
two.
month.
I'll make it three.
Exactly.
So I took the ad and I blew it up, and I have it. I'm holding it in my hand here. You can't see it on the screen, but I'm going to, after looking at the fine print, here's what this $99 a month Corolla really means. First of all, it's not a purchase, it's a lease. Secondly, to get the $99 payment, you have to come up with over $9,000 in cash
Who's
out of
running
pocket.
that ad?
Huh?
Who's running that one?
Palm Beach Toyota. This is a classic. They love the $99. Now, you say that, and I'm preaching to the choir here because the listeners and the viewers of Earl on Cars
Know this.
you're the creme de la creme. You're
Yeah.
the educated
They
consumer.
know better.
You ask questions, but they're intelligent questions.
Yeah.
You are not victims. The victims are pouring into Palm Beach Toyota, and they're buying. They're making them one of the largest Toyota dealerships in the country. They are a prime example of how difficult it is for a Toyota dealer to run an ad. Now, if I ran an advertisement for $300 or $400 a month, which would probably be a fair price for this transaction, nobody would want to come into my dealership and buy the car for me, and I'm only 10 miles away from Palm Beach Toyota. So they go into Palm Beach Toyota for $99. They get flim-flammed. They get sold the car. They don't get out without list if they want this car. They spend over $9,000 out of pocket. They might, if they lease the car, they're out of their minds because they could have bought the car and put $9,000 down and owned it at the end of their payments instead of having to give the car back. So it's a typical example as why the Federal Trade Commission, if they could stop this kind of activity, then I'm an optimist. I like to believe that most car dealers, I choke when I say this, but I'll modify that. Some car dealers are honest and transparent, and they're afraid to come out of the closet and be honest because it'll cost them their livelihood because they can't compete against the dishonest dealers. Rick?
Johnny Z. Fradley wants to know how much down to get my payments down to $9 a month.
So
I think there's exceeds the allowed amount you can put down on a lease.
in the fine print, they have $7,000 down on a lease,
That's
plus
really
the
max.
first month's payment. And then they charge you 10 cents per mile when the average driver's 12,500 miles. So that's another big shot at the end of the lease. $695 acquisition fee, a dealer fee of $1,000, and there's administrative fees that are undefined, but they're not for tax and tag, so they're probably more junk fees. So you're looking at close to $10,000 out of pocket, and it's all hidden in the fine print, and you don't know about it till you go in the door. So this is why I'm looking for a few honest dealers out there to join me in we call it an amicus. You lawyers will know what I'm talking about. It's a friend of the court appeal to the circuit court in Texas to get the Texas Automobile Dealers Association and the National Automobile Dealers Association to stop their protest against the Federal Trade Commission combat auto retail scams. If we could stop the scams, then the honest dealers would come out of the woodwork and be able to do business and give you a price in an advertisement or a quote that you could actually buy the car for. So you honest dealers out there, contact us, call me directly, use anonymous feedback, text us, let us know. I'd like to have you join the amicus. I'm paying for the amicus, the acquisition fee with my appeals attorney, and you can come on board for a small fee, like $2,000 or $3,000, and join the amicus. And if we get enough honest dealers out there in the amicus, we can get this Federal Trade Commission regulation passed.
That's combating auto retail scams rule,
Right.
and that's known as CARS. And as often as we saw this ad that Earl just spoke about this week, it just doesn't cease to amaze us that there's so many unsuspecting consumers walking in with one thing on their mind.
It works. Lying, bait and switch advertising, cheating, dishonesty pays, because people come in and make Palm Beach Toyota a very large Toyota dealership.
But you're not kidding about the dealers out there that do it and feel bad about it, that there's no other way to survive.
Yeah.
We heard it in our old groups with the Toyota dealers that say, "Hey, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to die if I don't compete."
I've got everything I own invested in this car dealership. I have 100 employees or whatever it is. I've been in the business. Maybe my kids are in the business. What am I going to do? Sell out because I can't compete with my dishonest competition? No, I got to play the game, and that's what they do. So if you could just get the rotten dealers out of the picture, then the honest dealers would be able to come out and do business, and that's where we ought to be.
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, folks, this is extremely important, and things are heating up out there as far as leasing, buying, and there is a lot of unsuspecting consumers just walking into these dealerships like the one Palm Beach Toyota that Earl just mentioned. We are going to take Kevin's call. He's calling us from Buffalo, New York. Good morning, Kevin. Are you there?
Yes, I am. With sunny Buffalo here, the daffodils are shining.
How nice.
I did something a couple of weeks ago when I never did before. I had key lime pie on St. Patrick's Day, but my key lime pie was in Key West, so that's why it tasted so much better.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Two questions, or one comment and one question. I have a 2019 Ford Transit van for work, and the map sensor went, and the car started going funky. What is the map sensor, and what does it do? The dealer did fix it, and it works fine now. But two, I couldn't believe a front brake job on a Ford Transit van is $900 by the dealer. There are 10 bolts to get the rotor off on each front wheel. That's really the way they engineered it, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The map sensor, what does it do, Rick?
MAP sensor is manifold absolute pressure. And basically what it does is it compares the air pressure outside under the hood to the air pressure in the engine's throttle body, in its air intake, and reads what the difference is. And the vacuum, the lower pressure going into the engine, increases when you step on the accelerator. When you give it more gas, it actually is drawing more air in, and this system compares the two to determine how much air is going in the engine. Once the computer knows how much air is going in, and it compares it to the information it's getting from the other sensors, it uses a chart to know how much fuel to inject into the cylinder to try to get the perfect burn each time that spark fires. It's kind of like the old days with a carburetor, where you could adjust the carburetor to get just the right amount of gas going in. But what it's doing is it's making that adjustment every single time that cylinder fires. So when you're doing, say, 3,000 RPMs, those 3,000 times that engine's going around, that cylinder's firing 1,500 times. And that's in 1 minute, and the computer is making an adjustment to that fuel amount 1,500 times a minute. And it uses information from the map sensor to be able to do that.
Well, sounds interesting. I almost felt like the transmission was going, but I was so glad it was just a $500 part. So
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Consider.
Thank you. And I also like your show that I can listen to on YouTube. And when I walk my dog out there, I live as a rescue dog, so I enjoy listening to your show on YouTube after the show's over. Thank you for your time and enjoy the sunny weather. Thank
How's
you.
the dog like the show?
Not really, because, well, it does like the
He only likes the dog.
He and I are outside sniffing away and barking at things. So
Well, tell him to stay tuned. We got the dog of the week coming up, so he probably would be interested in that.
And Rick's barking.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't bark too loud, they don't start barking back at you.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our special effects
There it is. Right
from Rick.
Well, no, the best effect are Rick's barks, so we can't have two competing barks.
Right.
Thank you.
There you go, Kevin. Thanks so much for calling. We're going to go to Rick or Stu.
I've got an interesting one here. This one's kind of an odd question, but it's one I kind of wonder about. Cliff's Pick says, when you go online to a car dealership and it has that little pop-up for a chat, the chat person, are these chat people at the dealership and their employees?
Probably not.
Or is this just a
Probably not.
I'll
They
give-
can be.
Run.
No, they there's a thing called in-house chat and managed chat. Most dealerships, I'd imagine, just don't have the staff or the department to do an in-house chat. Where to be effective, you have to have somebody sitting there, or at least on their phone, ready to chat all the time. Managed chat is done by a service provider, and they have call centers, and they're giving basic amounts of information about the dealership, and
They'll answer nothing
Right,
of,
nothing-
of any
nothing of
substantial nature.
substance.
All they have is their dialogue, their
the hours
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
dealership, anything that's important. But there's a little bit more to it. They can send you information I'm not trying to do a commercial. A dealership like us, that's a one price. You can send a listing of a car to them.
Yeah.
Our listings happen to have our price on it. So they can send examples of cars or of our inventory. But to get a real conversation, you need to actually contact the dealership employee, the managed chat.
It's not
you
like
said.
Apple chat. If you're
Right, they're not gonna fix
you
anything
chat with Apple or a good company like that, you have a knowledgeable person, and if you have to wait to get online with a chat, you're probably going to get a knowledgeable person.
Right.
When you don't have to wait, you got 2,000 people out
Correct.
there, and they just pop up and they have a script that
There's
they
two
read
levels
from.
of chat. Like in most places, even like Apple or things like that, there is an automated thing, gives basic information, but then if you need a real agent, this will stand by an agent. And most of the chat companies, even for car dealerships, have that ability to do that, to have the AI hand off to a human.
Well, Johnny Z. Fradley came back, said to at Cliff, he says, you should ask the chat right away, is there a dealer fee or forced add-ons or any other junk fees added to your prices?
You know what they're going to answer exactly? They'll say, let me
I
get your name
refuse
and
to
number.
answer on the grounds it might tend to
Exactly.
incriminate me.
Right. Actually, they'll just say, great, we can answer that for you. Can I have your name, address, phone number, social
Exactly.
security number?
Because most
I
of
gotta
them are
love my
done.
YouTubers.
Yeah.
Most of them are done through an independent contractor. So Stu's absolutely right about that.
Yeah. Real quick, Marty texted us real quick. It says 9,000 down. 9,000 down. This is back on the 99 payment. 9,000 down divided by 36 months equals $250 a month. So the 99 month payment is really $349 a month plus tax, fees, etc. Very good point.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take a look at
As a
that.
matter of fact, and when Earl said, he goes, if it was $350, that would be a fair normal payment, and that's exactly what it is. You're just fooling people up front.
That's out of the woodworks. If we ever got this combat auto retail scams thing through the courts, if we got through the courts, it'd be interesting to find out who is really honest and transparent out there. I don't know what the percentage is. It could be a huge percentage. I mean, I don't think so, but wouldn't it be nice if suddenly, overnight, we had a civilized auto retail group of dealers out there to sell your cars?
I would say about a third of the people in our group were decent. We're
About a
good,
third,
but
yeah.
most of them were like we're pushing the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Donovan had this on that one. He says, that regulation is badly needed. I've been shopping for a Mustang Mach-E, and the amount of junk fees being added today from any dealer on used cars is insane.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some adding $4,000 or more in my shopping across the state. The west coast of Florida used to be better.
Yeah,
but they're learning from Broward and Miami dealers.
As they grew, exactly. The southwest area and Fort Myers, there's some pretty tough dealers there too. They got a while to catch up on the southeast Florida.
Well, I'll tell you something. It's kind of humorous. Nancy and I were going through the automotive news this morning, and one of the major articles in this week's automotive news, I'm kind of thumbing through here. I don't see it, but basically it says that only 18% of transactions in the last quarter were above MSRP by car dealers. Now that's BS.
Right. They're not counting fees.
This is because that's a J.D. Power survey, because even J.D. Power and the manufacturers don't know what the profit is that car dealers
Hey, let me give you a perfect example. We sat down and in our meeting, and we looked at this thing. We call it the door. We don't call it. It's called the Door Report, where we compare our performance financially to a group of dealers. They don't identify their names, but they're the group, and they average them out. They actually consider the profit made by the junk fees. They call it additions to income, and it goes off to the side. And so when they compare us to the performance of other dealers, it looks like we're doing terrible. But they're adding this thing on. They don't even recognize it as profit.
And the manufacturers are culpable in that because they do have the right to demand a financial statement. They do have the right for the dealer's accurate accounting numbers in the transactions for their service and their sales and cars and parts. So they allow the dealers to take the junk fees. Now I'm talking to all the manufacturers now. The auto manufacturers, GM, Ford, Chrysler, Honda, Toyota, they allow the dealers to take junk fees and hide them in miscellaneous expenses. Those junk fees should be added to the price of the car on the financial statement. That way, the manufacturers have knowledge that the dealers are charging thousands of dollars over MSRP. The J.D. Power survey proves that they don't know that, and of course we do that anyway.
It wouldn't be 18%. It would be 37% or something like that now.
Okay, where are we?
Okay, if we are going to stay with schedule, we need to go to our dog of the week.
Okay.
And that is from Big Dog Ranch. And there you go. Ooh,
You just scared Devin's dog.
I don't know about Ryder. You might want to give me, Rick, maybe a calmer. This is Ryder. He's only a little over a year, and he's 30. He's 34 pounds. There you go.
That's a sad dog right there. All right, let me take
Better
a look
than
at Ryder
nothing.
here.
Anyway, Ryder is our dog of the week, and as I said, it comes to us from Big Dog Ranch, who we are associated with, and Ryder is a retriever Labrador. And he was found on the streets just wandering around looking for food and water. And they picked him up and they took him in. And he was also a foster dog. So if you can't adopt a dog, you can always foster a dog. And it's a little, a layover until someone like Ryder can get adopted. So we have a video that Jonathan is going to set up right now, and you can take a look at Ryder.
Hi, my name is Susan, and I work here at Big Dog Ranch, and I just wanted to introduce Ryder to you. Ryder is a 17-month-old pup. He's been in a foster home before. He loves other dogs. He loves toys. He loves to go for walks. Oh, and he loves water. He would make a great companion for somebody who likes to go out on the boat, the beach, maybe have a swimming pool. He just needs a chance to have a family. He just needs a family.
Looks bigger than 36.
So come take a look at Ryder. He seems to walk well with on a leash. He is young, so he does have energy. But, they tend to settle down, once they're in a home. So can you give Ryder a chance today?
Yes, give Ryder a chance. Ryder looks like how old? He's not much
About
beyond.
a year.
He's a puppy. He's very chill for a puppy.
Yeah, he's a little over a year. He's 1 year, 1 month, and 3 weeks.
So cute. What a beautiful face.
Yes. And as I said, he comes to us from Big Dog Ranch. And the dog of the week, the registration fees are paid. And it can save you,
Couple $100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is $200, and it costs a lot to adopt a dog, and we want to help. So that is Ryder, and you
Well,
can
let
go
me-
to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and you can take a look at Ryder and all the other dogs. That's www.bdrr.org. Earl?
Let me address that $200. It sounds like Big Dog Ranch is making money. They're not making money. The adoption fee serves two reasons. First of all, it goes into the coffers to be able to provide for more facilities for more dogs and adopt more dogs. Also, if you give dogs away free, so to speak, if you just say, come in and grab a dog and go home, what you end up with is a lot of people that come in and they, on a whim, maybe they had a couple of beers and say, hey, let's go get a dog. And then 2 days later, they say the dog just went on the carpet, and they leave it by the side of the road. You'd be surprised the people that go into shelters and pick up a dog on an emotional whim and then decide they don't want the dog and they release the dog. Right. Or maybe if they do keep the dog might be better off if they didn't keep him because they don't take care of him. If you have to pay $200, and also, Big Dog Ranch Rescue does a thorough investigation of you.
Right. I have some very important information.
Yes.
Very relevant.
Okay.
I'm very excited to share it.
Okay.
The adoption, this is from Big Dog, and we've never said this, but it's very simple. Adoption fees are based on the dog's age, breed, and length of stay, and this is what is included. This is what's going. The veterinary exam is $60. The spay and neuter surgery is $400 to $600. This is what the Big Dog is paying before you get your dog. Heartworm test is $50. This is all paid for. All age-appropriate vaccinations, rabies vaccination for dogs older than 4 months, microchip for permanent identification, behavior assessment by BDR trainers, that's another $100. A complimentary BDR group training session, which is new, so you get a group training session when you adopt a dog. Isn't that cool? And also 1 bag of starter food for $20. It's $785 that costs them to give you the dog, and so they're roughly $250 up to $325.
Wow.
Purebred puppies are going to cost you $750.
Well, but the idea is not passing along the cost because the costs are much greater than that.
Greater.
It costs millions of dollars a year for Big Dog Ranch to exist, and they have more than one facility. And I said last week, and Stu corrected me, that they're the largest no-kill shelter. I think from a strict standpoint, they are the only no-kill shelter, truly no-kill shelter, because what the other shelters do that maybe they don't euthanize the dogs, they can't keep the dog, and they give them to Big Dog Ranch Rescue. So big shelters can't keep a dog for 2 or 3 years. Big Dog Ranch Rescue is big enough because they have the money, and they have the contributions, and they have the generosity of the founder, named Lori Simmons, who gives a huge amount of her own money toward the care of these dogs. So, it is, I'm going to say again, it is the only true no-kill shelter in the country. Rick is waving his hand at me.
Dog food ain't cheap.
No, thank you.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And
all those dogs need food every day, so that's
and a lot of it.
huge.
And also, they have a veteran service program out there where they're training dogs. The veteran comes in and, they pair them up with this particular dog to see, if they get along together, if they're meant to be together. And it is just an amazing place. And if you get a chance, head out to Big Dog Ranch.
I got one last sweet thing to say about them, about the pair bonding.
Yes.
what they do. I've never seen this. I don't think shelters do this. If there are dogs that are pair bonded, and dogs are emotional creatures, and they have formed relationships.
They're buddies.
They're buddies. They don't separate them. Whether or not they're actual siblings from the same litter, or they met at Big Dog Ranch Rescue and became lifelong pals. They got to go together, and I respect that.
Yeah, they provide a second chance to rescue dogs by training and matching them up with the military. And folks, I'm going to mention Earl's book. Why? Is very important for two reasons. Number one, all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch, and you can purchase the book on Amazon. You can go to Earl on Cars. You can go to www.earlsbook.com. The book's $19.95, and all proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. So take advantage of that. And the book is a great asset to have on.
And go online,
www.amazon.bdrr.org. That too. Hope we didn't give out.
That's the best one I've heard.
Yeah, that's what happens when Rick clears his throat. Okay, folks, I see by the clock it is time for our mystery shopping report, and we're still in Tennessee. And we went to CDJR, Murfreesboro. That's a tongue twister.
They say that really fast. Beeman CDJR.
Beeman
CDJR.
Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Okay.
Okay, Earl.
I'm reading I Were the Shopper, If I Were Agent Lightning, our ace shopper that does an amazing job. And again, the Beeman family owns a bunch of dealerships, and one of them is the Beeman Chrysler Dodge Jeep. What's the R stand for? Ram, yeah. I decided to go check out the Jeep prices since I was out of town and will someday own a Wrangler. And I believe Agent Lightning will buy a Wrangler.
Yeah, manifesting.
She's a real shopper. She buys cars, and that's what makes her such a good mystery shopper. She's a real professional car shopper, and she does it because she likes cars, and she buys cars for her family. I arrived in the afternoon and was greeted by a young customer service representative who asked how she could help me today. I like the she. I said I'd love to talk to someone knowledgeable about Wranglers, and I saw one online that I'm interested in. She made a phone call, and a saleswoman named Karina came up. So two females. Female came in to buy a car. That's Agent Lightning. That's me. And then there was a customer sales representative, a female, and another female, Karina. So that's got to make Nancy happy to see females getting into the auto retail business. Came over to welcome me saying, I'm the Jeep expert here. How can I help you? I mean, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, I believe it. She was a trained product specialist in Jeeps, which, how could, what a great way to be able to spend time with a salesperson, somebody that knows something about their product. So I hope that's accurate. I believe it is. I said I get a little confused looking online with the different models, and was hoping you have someone help me figure out exactly what I want. Karina said, perfect, let's go over to my desk. She then asked, what features are most important to you? I said, I really want adaptive cruise control, heated seats, and then I'm not sure about the hard versus soft top or the 4XE versus full gas. Those are all valid questions. We looked at quite a few options online, then I decided on a new 2024 Jeep Wrangler, high altitude 4XE, a hybrid model with a limited all-electric range of 21 miles. Now, that's a plug-in hybrid, they call them, and that is the intermediate wave of the future. The future today is hybrid, and then the plug-in hybrid is the next transition, and then the full EV is the last thing that will happen. So, very wise to be looking at a plug-in hybrid. It took her a few minutes to find the keys. Her manager had them as he was using this vehicle as a demonstrator for the past couple of weeks. This is common in car dealerships. the higher up the line, the better the car you get. You get to drive any car you want when you're a big shot, and if you're a salesperson, you get what they give you. And oftentimes you don't get a demo when you're a salesperson. Managers do, and they put a few miles on them. And if you could get a big discount for a few miles, it's a good buy. I chuckled and asked, "Will this save me some money?" She promised she'd get me the best possible price. But in the 6 years she's been doing this, she's only ever seen them marked down one time. The Gladiator, on the other hand, is a different story. Those you get discounts on. Same with other Wrangler models. We walked to the car. There was no Maroney label visible, so I asked Karina. She told me to check the glove compartment. Our manager must have taken the sticker off and stowed it there. As I've said on the show millions of times, it's not uncommon not to have the Maroney label on, but we'll give him a little bit of an excuse. He was driving the car, so he took it off. Not supposed to, but he did. I checked, and there it was. The MSRP was $70,455. That's a big, fat MSRP. While we were on our test drive, Karina was telling me there was once a huge demand for the Wranglers, but you just couldn't get one. When they finally ramped up production, customers seemed to lose interest, and now the Wranglers are piling up on dealers' lots. Now, that's very strange and unusual. One could even go so far as to say being honest with a customer to say, hey, we got too many of these.
Yeah.
They do have too many of them, and she told the truth. We drove around quite a bit and went over all the features. The new 2024 has electric seats for one. The one feature that I didn't really like about the 4XE model is when you take your foot off the gas, the Wrangler really pulls back and slows down.
You love that, though.
I love that, and it just goes to show it's what you get used to.
Yeah.
You know, you get used to something. So any of you EV prospective buyers or hybrid prospective buyers, that's a feature that'll be different from your purely combustion engine car, and I find I like it because I don't like flipping my right foot around to my brake and my accelerator, my brake and my accelerator the way it is now. I don't ever have to touch the brake.
It's tough without an Achilles tendon.
And with Achilles tendon, it makes it even worse. Yeah, right, with that one. Karina said that's where the Wrangler is working a hybrid mode to recharge the battery. And that's true. It's a good thing when that car decelerates. That means it's charging your battery. And you want it to charge the battery because that is going to save you gas mileage. There are 3 buttons for each mode: hybrid, electric, e-save, and a locked gas tank.
I don't understand.
That may be a feature that prevents the gas engine from kicking in unless you authorize it, because there's we had a lot of our Priuses had an electric only mode,
right,
that it would stay on the electric battery as much as possible, because there's some places that you're technically not allowed to drive a gasoline vehicle.
What?
Like the sidewalk.
There are certain small towns that they say you have to have it in electric mode, and while you're in that area, there's places that do that.
What small towns are those?
Mackinac Island. Huh? Mackinac Island. Actually, they don't let cars on Mackinac Island at all.
There's a couple island places, places in Europe, like down in
we're
Italy.
talking about the United States.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I'm going to Google that, Rick. I haven't got time to challenge you on that now. Once back at the dealership, she had me back it into the spot right up front. This model has the one-touch top that opens automatically. It slides all the way back. Rick is frantically Googling to stay ahead of me here, so if he remains quiet, we'll know I was right.
You do that like 7 times a
The
show.
Wrangler had just under
Jonathan's wiping the tears
800
away from
miles.
his eyes from laughing.
Once we're down playing around with taking the top off, we headed back inside to our desk, which, by the way, is right next to the sales managers. We sat down. Karina says to one of her sales managers, Sam, also a female. Boy, a lot of females in there. Nancy is really going to get excited about this. Most of the people in that dealership, as far as Agent Lighting is concerned, are female.
All of them.
That's really cool, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
That's a tough business. Congratulations, girls.
Hey, Samantha, are you ready to help this girl right here make her dream of owning a Wrangler come true? Sam replied, of course, let's do it. Karina finished putting my info into her system and noticed I had been back there in 2021. So I'm amazed that we haven't, the Agent Lighting hasn't been trapped yet. I mean, nobody's ever caught her. We go in, we expose dealerships. She comes back again. They find her in the system, and they still don't get her. Probably because of the turnover of personnel that they just don't know what happened. So anyway,
I don't know how big our listenership
Yeah, they
is in
don't.
Murfreesboro, so
You're right.
Lance might tell them.
It could be. I mean, if you were careful, you could flag this. She's a shopper, but they don't do that. I said, I'm pretty sure you're the one that helped me back then, too. Well, she didn't remember. Of course not. She asked me why I wasn't looking closer to home. I told her that I'm not a fan of the one. I'm not a fan of the one by me. Oh yeah, by the dealership by me. Google Napleton, and you regular listeners know that Napleton is the Black Bart of all car dealers, and you'll see why. Sam was listening and said she hates to hear that because it really isn't that hard, to be honest. It is hard, to be honest, trust me. And fair to your customers. I mean, that's the problem with the car dealership business. It's hard to be honest. That's the whole point of the Federal Trade Commission, combat auto retail scams. So I digress. She promised to get me her best price up front, no playing games. I asked about the Wrangler having so many miles on it, and she said, we'll take care of you, I promise. Karina walked over to Sam, and I excused myself to make a phone call. I came back, and Karina had pulled up another chair and said, I'm going to let Sam have the pleasure of presenting the offer to you today. I think he'll be very happy with it. Sam handed me a sales worksheet. The top line market value selling price was MSRP, $70,455. They applied a $4,000 discount, making the adjusted price $66,455. Then they added Nano Cure Griffin Elite for $1,495, a $797 dock fee. They also added $4,648 in taxes and fees, and Stu says this seems to calculate out correctly.
Taxes itself is like 4,000 something. So.
Yeah. So my real price was $68,747, which was a $1,708 discount from MSRP, and of course the discount they showed on the paper was $4,000. So in this case here, they were below MSRP. I asked about putting the Jeep on my credit card. They seemed shocked by these questions. Sam said they allow up to $3,500 of the credit card, no more and no fees. She basically said the same thing about credit card fraud that prior dealerships have told me. Anyway, I thanked them for their time, let them know I needed to think about this and talk to my husband more after he's done with work. They said they understood and hoped to hear from me soon. So there we have the second Murfreesboro, Tennessee mystery shop in as many weeks. And as I've said before, if you shop a dealer in Florida, you're looking for trouble. If you shop a dealer in South Florida, you will definitely have trouble. Yeah. And you go further north and you go west and things get better.
I'm headed to Murfreesboro.
It's almost worth the transportation cost to go out of state to buy a car if you live in Florida. With that said, we got to vote on this. We vote on the curve. You don't fail a dealer if he's just an average, rotten, lying, cheating dealer. I hate to say that, but the average dealer is just non-transparent, dishonest, and bait and switch, and that's average. So if he's really bad, then you give him a D. If he breaks the law and ought to be in jail, you can give him an F. A, don't give him an A. I say that. We do have a couple A's, but they are like hen's teeth. They're very rare. So grade on the curve, and we'll go around and poll everybody and see what's happening.
Bob gives him a B on the Jeep in Murfreesboro. By the way, it was nice to meet Rick at Bonefish Max this week.
Oh.
That was... All right, thanks, Bob.
It's
Hi, Bob.
great to be out there and be recognized.
I'm refreshing
Rick.
my screen because I don't want to miss anybody's grades. but I'll tell you what I'm thinking. They did really well. They did better than the other Murfreesboro dealer we did last week. I think a B is in order, definitely. Rick?
Okay. Let's see. I've got Negan1 says, I see a D passing by barely, but barely. And let's do a quick refresh here.
Wow,
See
Negan.
what I hear they're coming in.
And that was the, Stu, that was the Ford dealership
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jodid says, C, the discount on a Jeep should be larger given the inventory, and that add-on was ridiculous. Mark Smith says, I'll give him a B plus for honesty and being a decent dealership. Johnny Z. Fradley, not an excellent price these peeps are giving. I wasn't born Easter Day, so I'll give Beeman a D, man.
Man, I'm being way too nice.
I love
B-man
it.
gets a D, man.
Huh.
Tim Gilliland, NanoCure is the only hiccup for me, B. Brian Sidlatko, if Jeeps are overstocked, I think you can get a better discount, C+. Cliff's Picks, I'll give them a C. Myself, I saw some of the old school games there with the add-ons, the junk fees and that.
A bit.
I'm going to go with a C. But I think if you go in there and really work them, you probably could get that price down a little bit. And especially where the vehicle already had
Yeah, I
some
agree with
miles
that.
on it.
Absolutely.
Because Agent Lightning, and by the way, it's a very pleasant experience, and she was probably inclined to say, okay, let me think about it, and not push back. But I bet you're right. If she pushed back a little bit, she might have gotten some of that taken off.
Yeah, and for me, it was a good deal, but I think that the ladies could do even a better job and a greater deal. For that, I give them a C.
Okay.
Oh, and I've got T Cash says E because Earl says no F's. And Andrew Plasinski says B plus.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a C. I just think they're probably a little above average. I probably should give them a C+. So.
Probably should have given them what?
And you've noticed from Rick's silence, he never came back after his Google. So
I sent you a link.
I did Google.
He sent all of us.
I did Google. I went to ChatGPT. There are several states that are planning to make combustion engines illegal, but there are no states now. There are no cities now that make them illegal.
Right, but there are also some places, some like on island towns, where you can only run an electric vehicle, no gas vehicles. So.
Well, not according to ChatGPT. So, okay, we got 3 minutes to go. Is there anything additional we need to cover?
The floor is yours. I think it's be interesting to cover the tires that are wearing out on the electric vehicles.
Excellent point.
And with the drag, well, the floor is yours.
Well, we talked
You're
about
the
it before. In
expert.
fact, Rick, I think, mentioned it a few months ago, maybe. But electric vehicles have very, very heavy batteries. They're giant, the ones that, 300-400 mile range. And they are so heavy that they push down on the tires. And tires on electric vehicles do wear out faster than the tires on combustion engines. There are a lot of folks out there that are anti-EV. And if you want to be anti-EV, there's a real reason that you can be anti-EV because it's going to cost you more in tires. Am I right?
That's true. It seems like the manufacturers are looking for tires with a low rolling resistance so as to get the most miles out of the car. But at the same time, those tires do seem to wear a little faster. And of course, the other side is electric cars. When you step on the accelerator, you've got 100% torque immediately available. So those tires are going to get a little bit of twist and spin. And obviously spinning the tires, even though you don't really feel it, they're moving, shifting just a little bit. You're going to wear them out just a little bit quicker that way.
With each spin. I think that mentioning also this F&I data that we talked about this morning. Jonathan, did you say 3?
3 going on 2.
Okay.
Well, just the fact that 16% of vehicles sold above sticker That's untrue. And she saw all of the news article, and that's untrue because the manufacturers do not account for the junk fees hidden in miscellaneous income. And it's just a shame. They could if they wanted to. They don't do it. Shame on the manufacturers.
And ladies and gentlemen, happy Easter. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As I always say, you're an important part of the show. And a special thank you to Jonathan for all his help week in and week out. He is definitely an asset. And a happy Easter to Rick and Chris. And a happy Easter to you and your beautiful wife and family.
I got to brag a little bit. This actually was the first time it's ever happened. With Bob and his wife happened to be at the restaurant where my wife and I went to dinner.
At Bonefish?
And they came over and said they'd recognized me from the radio show. And it's the first time that's ever happened.
The first.
And it kind of made my night. It was
That's so cool.
My wife said I was blushing right up there.
Makes you feel warm and fuzzy, right, Rick?
Absolutely.
I had that happen once.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back here next Saturday. You can catch us at 8 a.m., the same time, right here on the Oldies Channel. Have a beautiful weekend.